Stand back and peep the light show. Green Lantern's got this!
Have you been looking for a spec that takes more hits than your mom when your dad comes home? A spec that blocks, does good damage, and protects allies that are near. A White Knight class to defend all women. Well then, for all you Discord moderators, I have the perfect spec to defend your Discord kitten. Introducing Abolisher, also known as the Abortionator, because you will be blocking every pregnancy, arrow, and incoming attacks that are physical. The first skill we can go over is Battle Focus, which is something that can be popped before you deal damage. This is because it not only increases your critical damage, but also decreases your skill's mana cost, which is really good for skills like Whirlwind, which uses a lot of mana in general. The increased parry rate allows you to get a better chance to parry, which helps activate your passive Deflect and Retaliate, resetting your Battle Rage skills. These next two skills are your bread and butter. A charge is a skill that will launch you to your target and snare them for about 1.5 seconds. You can follow that up with triple slash to ensure a knockdown. Another common CC combo is Shield Slam, which will stun the target, followed by Bull Rush, which will knock down stunned targets. Bull Rush also silences targets as well. A lot of people in the game have Auramancy, which in that skill tree they have access to a skill called Shrug It Off. This removes and breaks stuns. Something you can do is Bull Rush first, which will silence them, and then Shield Slam to stun them. This will prevent them from using Shrug It Off, as it is considered a spell. The skill Precision Strike is your hardest hitting ability. It deals a big chunk of damage and has an additional chance to crit when hitting an enemy from behind. Don't be a fucking retard and try to use your Precision Strike from the front. Whirlwind is a skill that does a small amount AoE damage. You usually press this skill after the target is knocked down, as the second hit will do 29% more damage. You also want to make sure this is the last skill you're using for damage, because it does the second lowest damage followed by triple slash, which is your weakest hitting skill. We don't take Whirlwind for its damage, but take it so we can proc Delirium, which comes from the passive attack speed training. This passive increases damage by 2% and crit damage by 5%. However, the real reason we take this is because of its fucking sick combo effect with the skill Tiger Strike. When you use Tiger Strike while having the Delirium buff, you can inflict distress on the target, reducing their healing received by 60%, attack speed, movement speed by 40%, attack speed by 250, and damage by 20%. Behind enemy lines is your next skill, which does good AoE damage and has a combo effect with triple slash, causing it to trip targets. In addition, it can be used to get out of Bubble Trap from the Witchcraft tree, as well as Petrify and Telekinesis effects. Your next skill is from the defense tree is called Redoubt, which prevents you from being knocked down, but also slows your movement speed by 5%. It also increases your block rate by 38%, which is good for negating physical damage.
Don't try this at home.
The skill Refreshment is how it feels to chew 5 gum.
How it feels to chew 5 gum.
Excuse me, Ed, but is this your... Good Lord, man!
Ah, hit the spot!
New 5 gum. Stimulate your senses.
What Refreshment does is it gives you a large set amount of health for 30 minutes and 10% of damage you receive as metal. Toughen gives you 160 health regen per second and increases the metal you receive by 50%. This skill combos with Revitalizing Cheer, which causes it to increase the healing by 25%. Revitalizing Cheer heals you for 50% of your metal and removes 1 debuff. The skill Invincibility makes you immune for 9 seconds. If you move, it breaks the skill. I suggest that you don't sit there and hold the whole thing in and try to use Invincibility to block incoming attacks instead. The skill Lasso is only good in large-scale PvP and RVR. It's good for pulling people who overextend in a raid or pulling someone off your teammate. Your job as an Abolisher in a raid setting is to protect your squishies and allies in the backline, or to pull enemies into your raid that are overextended. Please note that you are not an engager or initiator. If you want to be the first person in, you should either go Skull Knight or Revenant, as they can pull everyone in and AoE lockdown with CCC. Abolishers cannot do this. Taking Vicious Implosion on Abolisher is a waste of a skill point and a hindrance to your team. Because when you use Implosion, you have nothing to AoE lock down an enemy raid. The only thing you're doing is giving them a 20-second immunity to being pulled again. In a 1 versus 1 or small-scale setting, you can take Leech instead of Lasso. Abolisher is good at protecting allies when you do your job, and good in 1 versus 1. The best way to think about Abolisher is to think of it as a guardian rather than an initiator. Don't be a fucking idiot and go in first and Implosion. You're only gimping your raid. Lastly, if you're feeling more skilled and are not entirely new, you can take Fortress to push people off your allies and give your allies a 30% damage reduction for 3 seconds. Please know that this will also pull your allies to you. If you're looking for an alternative off-meta spec, you have a few options that are not bad. Hexblade is decent in a 1 versus 1 situation, but know you lack any stun breakers. There are some fun combos with Hexblade such as Bull Rush Purge, which shackles targets. You can also Lassitude to put them to sleep, bubble, Fortress them, causing them to take fall damage, and then stun them or behind enemy lines them, then triple slash for knockdowns. If someone ever jumps on you and you have a quick reaction time, you can always Banshee's Wail as a defensive option. However, this is not your only off-meta spec you can play. There is another one I enjoy a lot called Dawncaller, which has more self-sustain and self-buffs. You can use Bloody Chanty to buff your damage right before you do any big damage attack on a target. It also comes with a ranged stun, which is fun to use as well. The heal is nice if you can bounce it off from an ally or NPC back to yourself. An Alarm Call acts as a good CC breaker to break stuns or sleep effects. One more additional class you can play that I personally am not the biggest fan of is Paladin. I find the heals to be lackluster and underwhelming, and there are a lot of ways to reduce healing received on a target by 60%. You have Distressed from Tiger Strike, Boastful Roar, Implosion, Stalker's Mark, and much more. Also, without a way to break stuns makes them very easy to CC lock, as a lot of CC in this game are stuns and a lot of the knockdowns combo from stuns. For starters, I will post what I recommend for Abolisher. In Auramancy, you should only take Wings in a raid versus raid setting and use it when the enemy Mage Ball dive bombs your raid. Everything highlighted in blue is a must-have, while everything in purple is situational or things you can take. Things in red are just straight-up no-nos. For Hexblade build here is one to get you started, while you can invest your remaining points into anything in purple. And for Dawncaller, same as before, take everything that's highlighted in purple, and stuff in blue is stuff you should be taking. I hope you found this video helpful to get you started with Abolisher. This video is a bit faster pace than my other videos as I'm running short on time. Feel free to like and subscribe for more dank memes. I am LexiCat, and thanks for watching.